Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome to today's Tolkien Times, a Prancing Pony podcast production. I'm the Man of the West. Thank you for joining me for First Stage Friday. Now, for the last couple of series, we've been enjoying the story of Tuor and his coming to Gondolin, as found in Unfinished Tales. Last week, Voronwë finished his story, and he and Tuor made their way east along the mountains as winter approached. There, at the end of a weary night, in the gray of dawn, they halted. And Voronwë was dismayed, looking about him in grief and fear. Where once the fair pool of Ivrin had lain in its great stone basin carved by falling waters, and all about it had been a tree-clad hollow under the hills, now he saw a land defiled and desolate. The trees were burned or uprooted, and the stone marges of the pool were broken, so that the waters of Ivrin strayed and wrought a great barren marsh amid the ruin. All now was but a welter of frozen mire, and a reek of decay lay like a foul mist upon the ground. "Alas, has the evil come even here?" Voronwë cried. "Once far from the threat of Angband was this place, but ever the fingers of Morgoth grope further." "It is even as Ulmo spoke to me," said Tuor. "The springs are poisoned, and my power withdraws from the waters of the land." "Yet," said Voronwë, "a malice has been here, with strength greater than that of orcs. Fear lingers in this place." And he searched about the edges of the mire until suddenly he stood still and cried again, "Yea, a great evil!" And he beckoned to Tuor, and Tuor, coming, saw a slot like a huge furrow that passed away southward, and at either side, now blurred, now sealed hard and clear by frost, the marks of great clawed feet. "See," said Voronwë, and his face was pale with dread and loathing. "Here, not long since, was the great worm of Angband, most fell of all the creatures of the enemy. Late already is our errand to Turgon. There is need of haste." Even as he spoke thus, they heard a cry in the woods, and they stood still as gray stones, listening. But the voice was a fair voice, though filled with grief, and it seemed that it called ever upon a name, as one that searches for another who is lost. And as they waited, one came through the trees, and they saw that he was a tall man, armed, clad in black, with a long sword drawn. And they wondered, for the blade of the sword also was black, but the edges shone bright and cold. Woe was graven in his face, and when he beheld the ruin of Ivrin, he cried aloud in grief, saying, "Ivrin, Fail Ivrin, Gwyndor and Beleg! Here once I was healed, but now never shall I drink the draught of peace again." Then he went swiftly away towards the north, as one in pursuit or on an errand of great haste, and they heard him cry, "Fail Ivrin, Finduilas," until his voice died away in the woods. But they knew not that Nargothrond had fallen, and this was Turin, son of Hurin, the Black Sword. Thus, only for a moment, and never again, did the paths of those kinsmen, Turin and Tuor, draw together. When the Black Sword had passed, Tuor and Voronwë held on their way for a while, though day had come, for the memory of his grief was heavy upon them, and they could not endure to remain beside the defilement of Ivrin. But before long they sought a hiding place, for all the land was filled now with a foreboding of evil. They slept little and uneasily, and as the day wore it grew dark, and a great snow fell, and with the night came a grinding frost. Thereafter the snow and ice relented not at all, and for 5 months the fell winter, long remembered, held the north in bonds. Now Tuor and Voronwë were tormented by the cold, and feared to be revealed by the snow to hunting enemies, or to fall into hidden dangers treacherously cloaked. 9 days they held on, ever slower and more painfully, and Voronwë turned somewhat north until they crossed the 3 well streams of Teglin, and then he bore eastward again, leaving the mountains, and went warily until they passed Glithwy, and came to the stream of Malduin, and it was frozen black. Then Tuor said to Voronwë, "Fell is this frost, and death draws near to me, if not to you. For they were now in evil case. It was long since they had found any food in the wild, and the way bread was dwindling, and they were cold and weary. Ill is it to be trapped between the doom of the Valar and the malice of the enemy, said Voronwë. Have I escaped the mouths of the sea, but to lie under the snow? But Tuor said, How far is it now to go? For at last, Voronwë, you must forego your secrecy with me. Do you lead me straight, and whither? For if I must spend my last strength, I would know to what that may avail. I have led you as straight as I safely might, answered Voronwë. Know then now that Turgon dwells still in the north of the land of the Eldar, though that is believed by few. Already we draw nigh to him. Yet there are many leagues still to go, even as a bird might fly, and for us Sirion is yet to cross, and great evil maybe lies between. For we must come soon to the highway that ran of old down from the Minas of King Finrod to Nargothrond. There the servants of the enemy will walk and watch. I counted myself the hardiest of men, said Tuor, and I have endured many winters' woe in the mountains. But I had a cave at my back and fire then, and I doubt now my strength to go much further, thus hungry through the fell weather. But let us go on as far as we may, before hope fails. No other choice have we, said Voronwë, unless it be to lay us down here and seek the snow sleep. This was a much longer reading than usual, so I won't keep you long here in the discussion, but I have to say this encounter not meeting with Turin is heartbreaking. These aren't just kinsmen, they're close kinsmen, first cousins. Turin's father, Hurin, is the brother of Tuor's father, Huor. And they have so many similar life circumstances, too. Both of them, Turin and Tuor, lost their fathers in the Nirnaeth or Noidiad, although Turin's loss is different, learning that his father is alive but captured. Both are, in part at least, raised by elves. They each live as outlaws for a time, and they both get involved with hidden Noldoran kingdoms, Nargothrond and Gondolin. Heck, they both end up earning the respect of elvish kings and having elvish princesses fall in love with them. But their fates couldn't be more different, more tragically different. Now, I won't give spoilers about Tuor for those hearing his story for the first time, but just know that Turin's story is the tragic one here. Folks, that's it for today's First Stage Friday. And while this set of First Stage Fridays is or has been longer than planned, I will eventually go back to Fandom Fridays. So if you know anybody who should join me here for a future Fandom Friday, just email barlaman@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/TolkienTimes to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout, bonus weekly episode, and more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times as we wrap up this week with Silmarillion Saturday. Podcast listeners, please be sure to subscribe to the show in your podcast apps. On YouTube, like the video and subscribe to the channel to get all of the PPP productions. And be sure you're following @PrancingPonyPod on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.